Hey, what's up? Jamal Lane in the house. What's going on, man? Black entrepreneurship in the house, brother. Happy Juneteenth. Yeah. For those of who don't know, because you'll probably see this on playback, but if you didn't know, one of your favorite barbers in this neighborhood of Portland, Oregon, was actually a music producer at one time, and was my music producer partner called. We were called Tracks and Skrill. And actually, funny thing is, there have been people who have used our logo since, and we just have not bothered to sue. But yes and yes, come on in. But yeah, Champion Barber Shop. If when this thing gets going and they can get you cut up, make sure you go, get your hair cut right there on MLK in Alberta. That's Northeast. Right here in Portland, Oregon. So, man, we might have to actually look into that, bro, on copyright infringement because, there's a big trademark on that TNS. Right. I've seen it. It's like, well, okay. All right, then. That's the one thing about being innovators and being innovative, man, is being the first to do something and then people follow it as if it's never been done. And man, we're talking what, 2003, 2002, 2003. So yeah, we've been around for a while. But like I said, definitely get your hair cut. Go check out the great barbers at Champion's Barbershop. I believe when things get rolling again, the school should also be rolling if you are looking to become a barber or a beautician. So definitely go hit them up. Black-owned business, a black-owned beauty school right here in the city of Portland. You can definitely go support. And then right next to it, if you have a hankering for a taste of barbecue, you could stroll a little bit up the street and get you some casings. And I also believe that to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Wingstop is also black-owned. So right there on that little corner of Alberta and MLK, definitely go support. Yeah. Yeah, so definitely go ahead and start spreading the word, y'all. We in here. We are celebrating Juneteenth and, discussing a few things. My last live was with Natasha Sanchez, and we discussed microaggressions, which if anybody went and looked at the playback of that, it was a very good episode. We actually went 2 hours, so it's two different videos of talking about microaggressions. And Natasha Sanchez is along with myself, part of another group called Liberation Literacy. And what they do is the primary function is kind of aiding people coming home from prison to help them kind of get reacclimated back into society, while also bringing in the books into the prisons for brothers to have, and not just the brothers. I mean, really anybody who is interested in liberation literacy. So I mean, anything from the Panthers to I believe there's quite a range of different liberation stories, women's movements, and so on and so forth. That are a great read, a great library of biographies. It's absolutely necessary because oftentimes these are the forgotten. So liberation literacy, they also operate out here. Because right now everything in the prison is shut down, so there are no visits. However, Liberation Literacy does have a food program. So if you go follow Liberation Literacy or LibLit, look them up. They're in the chat. So make sure that you go check them out. Follow them on Instagram. There's also a Facebook page, a Liberation Literacy Facebook page, and stay abreast of all the activities that's going on there. So with that being said, my name, of course, is Michael BeatZilla Whitmore, for those who don't know. I am a musician by trade, artist, songwriter, but most importantly, passionate about my people. So first and foremost, I'm a black man, descendant of American slavery, father, and a husband. And so, you know, these are things that aren't often seen in mainstream TV. Even sometimes, you know, pictures even get taken down by showing what black families look like. And I know a lot of people probably, oh, everything is black, 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 black with you. It's not. However, my focus and my primary energy does go to my community. That's not saying I don't put any energies into anything else, but my primary focus will always be my community because of the simple fact of where they stand in the totem pole of this society. And, you know, it's been coming more to the forefront now. And as all of these events have kind of led up to today, it brings a little more clarity for some. What Juneteenth really means. Because, you know, being freed from slavery and given nothing. So basically you're just pushed out the door with absolutely no form of finance or way to sustain yourself other than sharecropping, which was the other option, to stay on the plantation and work. And in some cases, even the masters left. They didn't even stay on their own plantations, and those former slaves stayed there and worked and lived as sharecroppers, not owning their land, not owning their farms, but had supposed to have gotten 40 acres and a mule. Now, here's something else that people don't understand about when slavery ended, is that the government had so much pity on those former slaveholders that instead of giving the 40 acres and a mule to the slaves that had actually built America for a couple hundred years by then, no, instead they gave the money to the slave owners and said, you need reparations because the loss of the slave wages is pretty much too unbearable, and we can't just let you guys go out like that. So needless to say, when a lot of people have this misconception of why black people should get reparations today, they missed this. I posted a picture today on my Facebook of my great-great-great-grandmother, who was a slave. You know, so when I was born, she had already passed, but in my mother's life, this woman, you know, she'd actually met this woman in her lifetime. I'm pretty sure. So I know my grandfather had. So he made sure I knew who she was and knew the stories. You know, so when I was a kid, I actually heard stories of slavery, actual slavery, because we had those in our family. So I didn't hear about slavery from a book or school. Excuse me. So the importance of a day like today, and not just a day like today, but really just embracing what the meaning of today is on a day-to-day basis, is that there are a class of people who never, ever, ever, ever had the opportunity for an economic balance. And let's be clear, slavery and oppression is about economics as well as it is hatred. It is hatred that fuels economic deprivation. So with that being said, you know, you have to look at the history of things. So when slavery started back in 1619 officially. Now, a lot of people don't know that there were already black people here, and they were free. They were actually, I guess, there was technically no America yet. So they were part of the colonies of England. But there were definitely black people, Moorish black people who were here in what is known now as the United States as far back as like the 1300s. I think the Spanish came over here around the 1500s. So, yeah, there were black people on this land. However, when slavery went into full effect, now my head is shiny like a beast. But when slavery went into full effect, John Hamilton, which is the founder of the Federal Reserve via Chase Bank, I would advise anyone to really do their history on knowing who that man is. Hamilton's on the 20. Or is that right? Hamilton? Whichever bill Hamilton is on. No, that's Jackson on the 20. Another racist murdering man. But Hamilton actually was George Washington's boss. So George Washington pretty much was this dude's guy. So a lot of people don't understand how a lot of the slave trade was filled by a bank which would now be known as Chemical Bank. J.P. Morgan Chase is kind of the face of it, but behind it is Chemical Bank. So if you look at those up, then you'll find how even the dollar got originated. So those things help fuel slavery in this country like nothing else. It founded the stock market. So a day like today is a day of reflection, and it really should hit home to a lot of people to say, well, wow, how are we still taxing people of this lineage in this country to be harmed by the police with the very money that they're paying? Because be clear, every black person is not unemployed and out here doing nothing, which is a line that a lot of people try to pull, but it's not true. It's just simply not true. There are a lot of well-to-do black people. I just seen a video this morning of some brothers in a gated community paying HOAs and SIDS and LIDs and all of that good stuff to live behind a gate with the private lake. Still, Karen was out there bothering with the racist BS. These type of things we have to get past, and the truth of the matter is that responsibility is not on black people. I know it sounds nice because that's the convenient way to go. But truth be told, we didn't oppress ourselves. We are a conquered people brought here. Big difference of any other situation going on. Now, like I said, I'm not only black. I am a human. But with that being said, anybody that is against the preservation of life, of innocent people, which if you look at some of these comment boards with these monuments falling down, these are just pieces of metal. And they want people dead behind it, over a Confederate monument. Now, we're celebrating Juneteenth today, which is the releasing of slaves, which is 2 years after the fact. Why? Because they allowed them to get a couple more harvests in before they had to set them people free. Even after that, there were still a few random plantations that refused to let their slaves go and had to be forced to do so. But technically, today would still be on a main stage the freedom of slaves, with the exception of if you're going to prison. So, of course, we know if you go to prison, slavery is still in full effect. So the abolition of slavery has never happened in America, ever. It has never existed. It's just a figment of the imagination. And it sounds nice because it makes people sound more humane. But if you actually are willing to joke and make fun of a person getting their life took while having cuffs on behind their back, I don't know really what category you're actually sitting in. Because truth be told, that's still a human life, and you are enjoying and relishing in the death. Now, when I see people defend themselves, those same people are crying foul. But we don't understand what bias is? Somebody has to explain that to you? Really? Yeah, I beg to differ. I think we all know better. Because all of us have, at some level and stage of the game, we've all had some home training, so we all know better. Excuse me. But, you know, again, this is a great day for black people to celebrate. It's a trip and a shame that it took for this season to happen for all of these people to get on board with something that actually should be celebrated as American history. Because it's just as American as apple pie. You know, you tell us to get over it. But then they'll turn around and run these. What was John Wayne doing? Was he doing timepieces or was he doing modern day film? But when it comes to us, well, you know. And just for a good reference, Song of the South, that racist Disney movie with Brer Rabbit, which is nothing but a slave, like a slave musical meets animation, with a old jolly Negro slave is just too happy to being a slave, singing zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. To be a damn slave? Absolutely minstrel show. I mean, come on, man. You know, and so at this stage in the game, what we have in the modern day minstrel shows have turned political. Unfortunately, we have the Brandis Knowins of the world, and then everybody else coming out of that whole Charlie Kirk factory of rejected Negroes that wanted to find their place somewhere. Didn't want to find it in our community because I guess they felt that it wasn't financially beneficial enough. So they go over there to the other communities to spew hate against us for people like Charlie Kirk or even Donald Trump, which, for the record, a lot of people are really confused on my position about Donald Trump. And I'm going to say, this is my position only. I do not speak for liberation literacy because they don't endorse any candidates. But for me, I don't deal with Trump because we already know where his head is. We know what he is. If for me, I've lived with people and grew up knowing people like that my entire life. So I know what to expect from him. On the flip side, not really feeling Joe Biden. So I'm in the lane of somebody come talk to me and my people. We need to be addressed as a people. Today, Juneteenth, we don't need some symbolism. That's nice, fine, and dandy. But then 40 acres and a mule that also was attached to today never showed up. So let's not celebrate it and forget that financial boost that was actually promised by the government never came. That's one thing a lot of people in this generation obviously must forgot or just don't want to admit. But these things were promised to black people in America. There were things that were immediately revoked by the government to prevent that from happening. Fast forward to not even getting any handout from the government, still building an economic base around the United States of America, even here in Portland. You want to know what that was? Well, you see where I-5 is. You see where the Rose Garden and the Coliseum sits. Well, Motor Center. I'm old school Portland, so it's the Rose Garden to me. And also, where Emmanuel Hospital sits, where both of my babies was born. That used to be the base of black economics in Portland. Thriving. But just like our city, so many other cities have been done. Now, the exception of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a few others, such as Philadelphia, to where when that economic boom was happening, you know, you had, I just was watching something on this. There were 4 black families, either 4 or 6 black families, that had their own private plane. Back then. Like, them people was balling. They was having things, you know. And you look at today, we can't even get a loan with a decent interest rate because of redlining. And I've worked in the bank, so can't nobody tell me that didn't happen. I know for a fact the color coding that Wells Fargo had did. That's a fact. So, I mean, these are just truths of what happened in these institutions. Not only that, slave records are kept in banks. I'm going to repeat that again. Slave records are kept in banks. The record of the money, the record of who they sold. They ain't going to never tell you that. But I do know that for a fact. So, you know, and that's, anybody ever knew my story about banking, I left banking for a reason. I most definitely left for a reason. It's something that was definitely built on the backs of our ancestors, and all money ain't good money. You know? Now, let me back up again and get back to today. Why are so many people mad that we are celebrating our independence from slavery? I mean, it's insane. I've seen somebody yesterday who was trying to put up videos, trying to rile up white supremacists, to get a little active today, by showing posting old articles of police being murdered. What that has to do with us, I have no clue. But see, it doesn't take much when you want to make up something to go get at a target, such as maybe say a Rosewood. It's not going to be that hard. If somebody wants to get on the mob mentality and turn into rioters and looters, yeah, you know, what can I say? Hug Dealer, you want to get in here, bro? You did a great show today. Incredible Hug Dealer. He did a show from 10 to 2 today. Hugs and Shrugs radio show commemorating Juneteenth. And he definitely said some important pieces. And I want to bring this brother on. Can you send me a request, bro, so I can get you on here? Because you said some incredibly deep stuff today. And again, if y'all don't follow me here, I know I have a lot of ghost shadow followers, which shout out to y'all. If you go out and then go back in, you should see a request me thing, and then I'll get you in. BeatZillaPDX, y'all, right here on Instagram, and the hashtag no anti-black racism. That's the movement. Shout out to Liberation Literacy. If you need one of them food boxes, they got food boxes for the fam. Make sure you check them out. There we go. Go live. Right. Saying it's waiting for you to accept it. Connecting. There we go. What's up, my brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Man, it's great. No, you in the car, bro. Hey, man.
Have it.
No doubt. You did a great show today, bro.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, it was long, and I didn't bring any water. Major oversight on my part, and that room was hotter than sin and dusty. So I'm pretty sure I have COVID at this point. Like it's in my lungs. It's in my lungs. Yeah. So yeah, that man, they need to spruce up the House of Sound studio.
I feel you. But yeah, bro, I just wanted to give you a chance to, for the people who didn't catch your message earlier on your show, to go ahead and definitely give you the platform right now, brother.
Which message?
Well, you see, if you want to condense, hey, whatever you want to say, bro, because you said quite a bit. You had 4 hours.
I know. So, geez, where do I start? Essentially, number one, and it has to do with people going out and doing the protests and all that, who shot John and that stuff. I wanted to first and foremost warn everybody, black people and the allies of the co-op, because every single movement that there's ever been with black people, there's always been a co-op for it. There was a co-op of the women's rights movement. White women, tried to bring in black women to be a part of that, but they kind of disregarded the struggles that black women went through, which was exclusively theirs.
Absolutely.
They had to deal with not only sexism, but they had to deal with racism, both from white men and white women. And the white women were like, no, you just come up and join us and be a part of us, and we'll work for you, and then left them to the wayside. And it's been that way with basically every major movement in the history of the United States. So
absolutely.
And it's starting to happen now. It happened with Occupy. A lot of people don't remember what kind of sparked Occupy. That was the execution of Troy Davis. And people got really pissed off. Like, most people didn't even know about Troy Davis's story until they heard about it on the news. Occupy had started just maybe like a couple of days before Troy Davis was executed, but nobody was talking about it. There wasn't this massive movement behind it. But when Troy Davis was finally executed and people hit the streets, Occupy took that momentum and turned it into a whole other monster.
Absolutely.
And so they're starting to do it now. I mean, we've heard about what's going on in Seattle, where they took over a police precinct, which, like, why not? But now they're making demands, and the vast majority of those demands have nothing to do with racial equality. So they're being like, no corporate capitalism, and they're starting to use the whole, well, it's not a racism thing, it's a classism.
Right.
Like, from your perspective, certainly. I understand from your perspective it is a classism thing. From our perspective, it is not a classism thing necessarily. It has its role, but there are rich black people catching hell. Barack Obama was in the office for 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure he was called nigga more times in those 8 years than he ever was during his time as a senator on back to when he was just, a twinkle in his father's eye.
You already
So,
know.
yeah, so, Ivy League professors, like, they get the cops called on them because they locked themselves out of their house. Like, man, how many people have locked themselves out of their house or their car?
Right.
And, it happens. Hell. But if it's an affluent black dude
Mm-hmm.
in an affluent neighborhood, well, let's call the cops on him just to be sure. And how
Right.
shitty of a neighbor are you to not know that man's been living there for X amount of years? It's like, you're a racist and a terrible neighbor.
That was exactly my point about George Zimmerman.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, well, you're following a kid that's behind a gated community.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know how anybody never understood. I was like, well, no, that's stalking. If that was a woman and that was a man, that would be considered stalking.
Yeah, it was stalking.
That's
was
absolutely stalking.
Yeah, I don't have enough curse words in my vocabulary for George Zimmerman and the people that supported that dude. I really don't.
Right.
Right. Because that whole situation, like, how are you not going to identify that he stalked Trayvon Martin?
Mm-hmm.
How are we forgetting this in the argument? That's what started the whole thing. Like, it would not have gone off if he didn't, think that he was a vigilante and followed that young man. Yeah, miss me with that bullshit. And now that fucker is signing Skittles packets and fucking Confederate flags.
It's ridiculous. And see, and that's what, before you came on, and that's what I was talking about, the pleasure that some people have at our deaths. And I've seen some people make some comments this week that immediately backtracked on them, but tried to especially one who tried to backtrack and really just made it worse, because it's like the level of racism in this cat is so deep that I don't even think it's even fixable, because that's a person who will always defend a racist point of view.
Oh yeah.
So you got an onslaught of people barraging you, and instead of saying, "I'm sorry, y'all," you wanted to double down, and that's hey man, I don't know what to tell you on that one.
Yeah, usually when somebody doubles down, you just gotta leave that person alone. There's no arguing with them. It's just like, well, God bless you.
Absolutely. You are entitled to your feelings and
exactly.
your opinion, but will we ever have any business dealings in the future? No. No, we're not doing that. No. So brother, I'm doing this little quick live. I don't know if you ever heard of liberation literacy.
I have. I've heard not very much, but I have heard about the program.
Oh, okay. So right now, because the prisons are still not letting the outside groups in, they're pretty much doing what they can out here on the streets. So there is a food pantry, and then also they could also help turn you on to some liberation themed books, authors, and so forth. So it's definitely a good thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to them for doing that, because one of the things that I'm really happy to see is that there are a lot of food programs going on, especially with what's going on right now.
Yes.
So I'm really happy to know that there are people out there, feeding folks. My job connected with a lot of these food charities, asked us, well, can we donate some food to give to the seniors you work with? And that's a nice gesture. We can't accept because it's got to be shelf stable, because our seniors are immune compromised and don't want to get getting sick and everything like that. But the amount of support that I've seen coming towards, those who are not necessarily on their feet at this point in time, it's been damn good. Like I gotta give props to Portland on that one. Like they a lot of people have come together, just to kind of watch their neighbor. So, like
that's what's up.
Props to the altruistic people. we could use a little bit more of that these days. So.
Yeah, no doubt. I know that's right.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that's
and then
right.
especially providing reading material too, because man, I feel like books are a dying breed. It's just a crying fucking shame. And I can't talk bad about anybody because I think like the last book that I opened was a comic book, so I can't talk.
Right.
I really can't talk, but yeah, we need to definitely read more. Probably stay off social media as much, with the irony, of course, of me saying that while we are talking
on
social media.
Absolutely.
Astounding.
Well, I would suggest anybody, because I told somebody yesterday, tune into the new black media, because that's pretty much how you're staying abreast to the community. Because, our true issues never hit mainstream TV. They never do. And so we got to make sure that we control our narrative at all times. The new hashtag is no anti-black racism. And the reason for that is because Black Lives Matter, the movement, is being overshadowed by Black Lives Matter, the organization, which does not have the same agenda as the people who are initially stepping out into the street. So they're the co-opting. It's really fuzzy. But just so people don't get confused or misconstrued, we're just gonna leave it real simple. No anti-black racism. Right. Everybody's life matters. Very true. But we're focused on one thing. So yeah, bro.
Everybody's life does not matter. If that was the case, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Well, we know that. We definitely know that. Well, brother, I wanted to make sure I just got you on here real quick.
Hey, man.
And I will definitely be hollering at you again, because we definitely need to do something in the future too. I know you got your election show coming up.
Yeah, so Hugs and Shrugs show on November 4th, as we've done for the past two election years, I think. Presidential election.
At least the last two.
Yeah, so we've made that kind of a thing now. We start around 6:00 and then go until they finally announce who the president is. There's a turd sandwich and shit soup. That's the best way I can describe it, man. Like either way, you're gonna have to taste the shit in your mouth for 4 years. So you just gotta figure out do you like the soft kind or the runny kind? Right.
Oh man. Hey,
sorry.
No, that's what I'm thinking. We might have to work something out, because I might have to come into the studio with you, man, on that one. And and simulcast that, man, and go live video and live on the radio and make a night out of it, make an event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, man, it's I think it's necessary that we gotta get back into it, because it's been 3 years since I've been on the radio. Right. But I just felt that the times that we're living in, it was kind of necessary. If only just for me to just vent. So it could be my motives could be just selfish on that one, but I feel that it's necessary to kind of say that the things that I said, because there are plenty of people who might feel the exact same way, but just don't have an avenue to say it. So if what I said represented for anybody, then mission accomplished. A couple people did catch me crying live, and like I did get choked up live on Facebook.
It was deep.
I was sitting here like, oh hell no. It was like, no, I ain't gonna cry on live. I'm a man. I'm a man's man. No, I cried. I did. I was thinking about, friends that we lost, and then I started thinking about my mom, and yeah, the voice got all shaky and shit, and I didn't have no water. And the fucking dust was out. I had to take a break from live. I was like, okay, let me
Oh
recompose
man.
myself right here, because y'all ain't going to catch the hug dealer and say, cry baby hug dealer. Talking about my mama.
And
cry about my mama.
And real quick, while I got you here, I definitely want to say a big, big, big shout out and rest in peace to Mo Fee.
Yes.
Sister Mo, she passed away last month of cancer during this crappy COVID. She didn't pass from COVID. She had that garbage cancer. And a beautiful artist. If you ever get a chance to see some of her works that she's done, I don't know what's going to be happening with the stuff that she left behind, but she got some dope stuff.
No, a lot of people don't understand that Mo is probably, in terms of the art community, Portland's greatest treasure. Because she, the amount of art that she pushed out in a like fucking 20-year period is astounding.
Right.
And yeah, and there was something she had. Black History series of art, all kinds of different art. And the one thing that I regret is like not being able to draw. And she tried. Bless her heart, she tried. She tried to get me to be artistic and draw, and I couldn't even do a stick figure right. Like she tried to do prompts and stuff like that. Bless her heart. Like I'm a man of many talents. Drawing is not one.
Yeah,
my brush hand is weak as fuck.
No doubt.
It's trash. Blunt guts trash. But yeah, shout out to Mo, man.
Like, and if anybody sees my within my, I will because I gotta go find the picture because we did a concert with us and Bilal years back, and she literally live painted a picture of Michael Jackson. It was right when Michael Jackson had passed. And so during the show, she literally painted this big picture of Michael Jackson.
She's done a few of those. Like I'm trying to remember if it was the Digital Underground show, or the Slick Rick. It might have been both actually, because Mo was a thug like that. She would like get in there and just draw, and it didn't take much. She would just give her an idea, man, and art.
Man.
It would piss me off, quite honestly. I'm like, how? I'm sitting here trying to do poetry for 5 fucking years, and in that 5 years, Mo's battling cancer and still drawing.
Yes, indeed.
Like, my God, soldier. And the fact that she battled for years, man, like,
most
strength
definitely.
of will.
Most definitely. So it's the Love Movement, which the page is definitely still up. I'm sure it won't be going anywhere. If you want to go to Facebook and follow that page, and definitely shout out to our fallen sister, Mo Fee.
Yeah, but I guess if there's a silver cloud in her passing, I know a few other Portland artists that are kind of motivated to get out there and be as artistic as possible. And if the fact that Mo has a legacy like that just speaks to who she was, or who she is. The spirit of Mo is still here in Portland, so
most definitely.
Yeah, we're going to keep pushing.
Most definitely. So, all right, brother, I'm gonna let you. I know you've had a long day, man. So I'm gonna let you get to some libation, man, and get on with the rest of your day.
How do we get some water?
Man, stay away from that Popeye's biscuit.
At this point, I could use the moisture from that bad boy. That's it.
Oh, man. So, yeah, brother, man, I really appreciate what you did, man, and appreciate what you do. And I will be hollering at you soon, my brother.
All right. Sounds good, man. Peace be on to you, and
peace
stay
and
safe
blessings
out there.
Yes, peace and blessings, brother. Peace.
All right, now.
All right. So, I wanted to bring that brother on. He did a great piece. I don't know if they archive their shows on houseofsound.org, but that is where you can find Hugs and Shrugs. He used to do a show, but he just kind of spot dates now. It's an online radio program. But yeah, that he plays my music. And shout out to New Zealand. Um, and the UK. You made me number 5 last fall, so I appreciate that. Um, Now, anybody that want to chime in, by any means, there's now a question box here, so we can do the question box. And then also something that I do plan to do in the future, I want to hold a community, like our community Zoom meeting here in the future, and I will be posting that to just kind of have a town hall meeting of the minds on how just the general public of our community feels, without having all of the frills of this is this big personality or this is that personality. If they want to be involved, that's fine. Uh, but I just want to provide a space to where people can kind of speak on what's on their minds and what they would want to see, how we move forward, the things that we want as a community. How do we strengthen our own economic base, group economics, things of that nature. Um, and so I want to provide that space for y'all, and others. When y'all see this video, hey, April, you know, I want to just, I want to make sure that you guys get your chance to be heard, because they tell you being heard is voting. I think being heard is being heard. That way somebody knows what you're voting for. That way we have something to tell a politician. This is what we want. Watch this video. So these are the things I just want to establish so we can have our collective voices heard, not be left out of the conversation, and having one person talk for all of us. That day should be over and done with. Because as we've seen in years past, every person that was just that one person, they took and then put their person in. And then, all you had was, I just wanted good trouble. And we are not in that stage of the game anymore. So with that being said, I just wanted to come on here live and shout out Juneteenth and, celebrate with y'all. I hope y'all are having a blessed day. Um, so yeah. Anybody else, if you want to come in, I think I got about 12 minutes before this thing cuts off. So if anybody has any questions or you want to come in, send me a request. Yes, happy Juneteenth. And again, for anybody watching this, follow me on Instagram at BeatZillaPDX. And you can also follow me on Twitter at BeatZillaPDX. And if you want to give to the movement, Cash App, BeatZillaPDX. So definitely, I want to make sure that I can facilitate for y'all a platform for y'all voices to be heard, be felt, because it's not just me. It's not just some of these other people who are out here doing this work. It's everybody. We are all in this together, not as a cliche, but as a fact. And we need to make sure that we cover and protect our interests, our community, our allies, and everybody who would want to see the system that we have now replaced with the system of justice. I don't think that's too much to ask. you know. But I think that I'll be closing this out. If nobody has any questions, I'm surprised. No questions today. Um, I hope to of course be back live again. Oh, also, uh, my YouTube channel is oh, good Lord, Our Real Truth at YouTube. So if you go to Our Real Truth at YouTube, then that's my YouTube page. Go follow me there. Uh, I'll upload these videos there as well, but I'm eventually trying to transition to my YouTube page. So I'll be doing here and YouTube. I probably never ever go live on my Facebook because this is my public page. And so just make sure that you guys stay tuned. Follow me on all the platforms you can. And, then I bring, I speak from the heart. I speak the truth from the heart. Uh, and I listen to other people's opinions. Give me your opinion. If you disagree, let me know. But don't troll me and think that will work. My mind is way too sharp for that. So let's have an intellectual conversation if you want to do so with me. And I can do that. If you just want to troll, then you'll probably just get blocked because time for time wasting trolls is not now. So, oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I very much appreciate that. So y'all just stay tuned. I'm gonna keep trying to give y'all this content. If there's anything that you guys would want me to talk about, by all means, DM me. Let me know. Um, but look out for the town hall meeting. That will be coming fairly soon. And I'm gonna set that up. I'll be putting the word out, and we're gonna get that cracking. And again, shout out to Liberation Literacy, for definitely standing in the gap for a lot of people and trying to bring more and more and more to the forefront. So you will be seeing more from Liberation Literacy. You will be seeing more from me as well, uh, and many others. So I just want to sign off with this. Y'all stay positive and don't let anyone steal your joy. And make sure you love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, then you won't be able to love anybody else. So with that being said, I am going to sign off. Peace and blessings, family. BeatZillaPDX.